E, dare I say, the second to last tea of the season. Maybe we'll like do something fun this weekend with tea and like do a ranking. I don't know. Maybe not. But this could be the second to last tea of the season, which is crazy to think about. That it's been 30. Today is day 34, but we're covering 32 and 33. So it's been 35 days. It has been 5 solid weeks with these people. So it's crazy that it's coming to an end, but we're here to discuss kind of where we left off, how we're here at the final four, kind of winner equity, all that fun stuff. I'm joined by a lovely production member who's shockingly home at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. It's Max.
I do work half days on Fridays, so that is the only reason I'm here.
Are you like a 99994?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 999, yeah, like 9 hours.
9 plus, 9 plus, 9 plus, 9 plus.
Oh,
4 plus sometimes.
Me in public accounting when they're like, yeah, just 40-hour weeks. 40-hour weeks. Yeah, my ass. Fucking more like 60.
Yeah. It's been better. It has been better, but it's still just not great.
I feel that. Ugh. But you'll find something that you'll be happy in and hopefully working far less and making more money.
That'd be great.
Knock on wood for Max, everyone.
Yeah.
To find something. Alrighty, it's my second coffee of the day. I'm going to regret that by the end of it. But alrighty, where we left off is we have Liv is the HOH. She initially nominated Jabbar and Megan for eviction. Megan won the power of veto to take herself off of the block, and Michael was named the replacement nominee. And that's where we left off on day 31. So to begin day 32, we have pretty much the vote between Jabbar and Michael. The vote basically hinges on Megan and Trey. Megs has made her stance clear. She would like Jabbar to leave. She is trying to get rid of all of the competition threats that she can. And she doesn't need both Liv and Jabbar in the game. Jabbar did ask for Megs' vote, and Megs basically was like, fun. Very much avoided. It was just an iconic way of immediately diverting the question. So Jabbar knows he can't rely on Megs to give him a vote. She's very clear that she's not going to be helping him here. So Jabbar is focusing on Bathroom D, which is his alliance with Trey and Megan, to try and swing the vote his direction, because he just needs 2 votes, those 2 specifically. And his campaign is basically, hey, you need Liv and Megs to go because they're both going to be in the final 5. Michael's not going to do that, and I will, which is true. Sure, Michael is still upset with Liv and likely would go after Liv, but he is not going after Megs, and possibly still won't go after Megs today on day 34, but we'll get there. And additionally, Jabbar's like, Liv and Megs want me gone, as evident by this round and where they're voting. If I'm here, they're still going to target me. They're not going to target you 2. I'm the number 1 target. So keeping me has multiple benefits. And while I do agree with all of those benefits, the concern for Megan and Trey is, do we want to go to Final 5 with Megs, Liv, and Jabbar? 3 huge threats in the game. Do we want those odds against us? And additionally, for whatever reason, I don't know why this was even a talking point, and maybe it was just because they both wanted to keep Michael because he's the layup, and they think that they can beat him. And maybe that's just the true base of the reason, but they were telling Jabbar that there were game relationships outside of Michael that they worried that they would be breaking by saving Jabbar, aka Dancing Queens. They were worried that if they burn Megs and Liv here, that Megs and Liv would make peace with Jabbar and target Megan and Trey instead. I don't agree with that sentiment, and maybe that was just their bullshit reason for telling Jabbar that they weren't going to save him because they wanted to keep Michael in. I don't know, but that's kind of a huge thing. And honestly, the deciding factor for them is this idea that if they piss off Megs and Liv and go against their wishes, that Megs and Liv will go after them instead of Jabbar, which I don't know if I agree with. But thoughts?
Yeah, I guess it's interesting that out of the 5 of Dancing Queens, Megan and Trey probably were the most likely to turn on it before they were the final 5.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he was right in that if he had a shot, it was with those two. But it also just speaks to the fact that they fully know that they are at a disadvantage with comps and that they need to stay on the good side of Megs and Liv for as long as possible because they're going to be the ones with the power. And so I totally get it. And I mean, even though Michael has been like Dancing Queen strong the entire time, like this is like his ride or die group, no matter what. It's not the reason that Megan and Trey make this decision, like loyalty to the group. But I have to imagine that in the back of their heads, they have to be thinking like it would be kind of cool if we made Final 5, right? Like that has to be like a little bit of a cherry on top.
It's clear Megan has more of a care to save Jabbar here, and I think she's right to save Jabbar here and wants to save Jabbar because no one is prioritizing Megan here.
That too,
at the final 5 or even at the final 6. Like she thinks she has Trey with her, but not even Trey is with her. No. Trey is with everyone except Megs. Trey's with everyone but Megs at this point. So no one's prioritizing Megan, and Jabbar probably would prioritize her now that Liv has now burned him. I think Megan is the only person left in the game that he would have any sense of loyalty to. So I get why Megan wants to save Jabbar, and it's very clear that she kind of gives up once Trey is not very interested in the move because her vote alone doesn't do anything. So I think if Megan was voting for her true preference, it would have been to save Jabbar. But I think Trey and Megs make the right decision to save Michael. They both have final 2s with Michael. They both think that they can beat him. TBD if one of them will actually beat Michael at the end. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think they both make the right decision to use Jabbar here. So he is evicted 3-0. He is informed about Dancing Queens on his way out. So
I can't recall a situation that in BBH that we've seen that where like an alliance informs, like together gets on a call and informs the person they're evicting that they're an alliance.
Yeah.
And the person didn't know.
Dan hinted that they did it for RGB. I wasn't on prod for 11, so I don't remember.
I was also not really around for 11.
Did that. Dan will happily let the record reflect if that's true or not. But yeah, we haven't had that in a moment. And I think it was good that they did it because specifically for Megan and Trey, because when they let Jabbar know that he's going home, they're being so fucking cryptic.
Yeah.
They're being very cryptic about there's relationships in this game that I fear I'm breaking.
And I'm like, there's only so many people.
Like, babes, dancing. It's Jabbar and Dancing Queens. Just tell him that. What is he gonna go do?
Yeah,
like he's alone. So just tell him. And Jabbar is definitely like beating himself up a bit. Like he has this whole apology tour to both Trey and Megan, being like, Megan, I'm so sorry that I did X, Y, and Z to you in this game. Trey, I'm sorry I did this, and this, and I said that. Like he's definitely, pulling out all the stops here because he's being made to believe that he's done something wrong.
Right.
So I'm happy they told him that, like, hey, we're in a 5-person group and we've all agreed to go to the final 5 together, and that's why we're evicting you here. And it has nothing to do with anything other than that. So I'm happy they told him because they definitely were making him feel like he had done something wrong. And that's never fun to feel like, especially with Trey and Megan, who he comes in with a pregame connection with.
The one thing that I will say is that I feel like it's my biggest challenge when I play games is like telling people that I'm not working with, that I'm evicting them, or like I just don't know how to do that in a way that's, first of all, truthful, kind, but also doesn't blow up my game before they leave. And so I understand the hesitancy to like just tell him before the vote is revealed. But yeah, it is good that they told him.
Yeah, I'm happy they did, so he can he could go to the jury house knowing that he was just outplayed rather than
Right.
he did something inherently wrong to people that he cares for. So I was happy that happened. So now we are here at a final 5 of the Dancing Queens. They've absolutely demolished this jury phase of the game. They came together as soon as they heard about Caro's eviction in House A and said that those 5 were going to do it. Even when they weren't in power, they convinced the other side that Erica and Sarah were good moves, got rid of their auxiliary pieces, but kept them all together, never turned on each other, even though there were talks of it, but never did it. So all props to them for making it happen.
Yeah, in a season of very like loose alliances, lots of different combinations of 3s and 4s around, and none of them really ever were solid in the pre-jury at all. You can maybe make a case for Final 14 HOH, but like, dominant alliance, like it's the alliance of the season, like.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no denying it that they absolutely killed it. And while there were suspicions that those 5 were working together in a unified mission against people like Louise and Jabbar and Lamont,
they were never found out. It's crazy.
Clocked that there was an actual 5-person group chat between them, that was an unbreakable bond.
And in recent BBH, like everything is leaked. Yeah. Everything. And so it's really refreshing to actually see something stay quiet for this long.
Yeah, very, very impressed with them as a group. Obviously, I do think that this group benefits Megs and Liv more than anyone else. I think Michael, Trey, and Megan slowly realized, even at Final 6, but definitely at Final 5, that they maybe should have turned sooner.
Yeah.
Because now they're here in a Final 5 situation with 2 comp powerhouses in Megs and Liv, and no guaranteed way to get rid of them outside of winning a comp, which between Trey, if you add up Trey, Megan, and Michael's comp wins as a collective, they equal Liv's total competition wins singular.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only one more than the comps that Megs has won. So, and I think actually Megs has now probably tied them now. It's not a strong setup for them when you're looking at the statistics of it all. And I think that they're starting to slowly realize that maybe, just maybe, they stuck too loyal to this group instead of pivoting a couple rounds sooner. But, you live and you learn. And there's still a possibility that Michael or Trey, or at this time Megan, but we know that Megan no longer can win. But at this time, there's still a chance for any of the 3 of them to still come out on top. They just have to beast out when it's time.
Win a comp.
As much as everyone has been questioning their decision to continue to work with Megs and Liv as far as they have, as long as they're not at the end, then at least you can say that you made the right decision in some shape or form. They can doubt that you maybe kept them in too long, but if they're not at the end, then clearly you did something right. So it's all that matters is who's at the end. Doesn't matter how you got there. It just matters that you're there. Can't win if you're not there. So, but most of Michael's campaign against Jabbar was really just locking down Dancing Queen strong, as well as kind of crafting the boot list. For Michael, the only person he doesn't have a final 2 with of the 5 in Dancing Queens is Megan. So it seems that since Liv has burned him, he is devoted to Megs mostly and wants to get rid of Megan at 5, because it's seemingly Megs is still pushing this idea that she wants Liv, Trey, Michael, and Megs at the end to duke it out and see what happens. Megs is very concerned that Megan has super high win equity and is just nervous about her getting to the end. And while Liv's comp prowess sure is a concern for Megs knows that Liv isn't like indestructible. She's been saying it to people on call. Everyone's telling me to target Liv because she's this huge comp beast, but like, is she? Like, sure, she's doing well, but like, she's not like unbeatable.
And I mean, obviously Megs doesn't know this, but based on what the jury had been saying up to that point, that was an accurate read that Megan had a lot of win equity. Like the jury was very high on Megan. Yeah. And so that was a good read.
Very, very, very high on Megan because she hasn't made anyone upset. She's played a very traditional Big Brother game of, if you don't need to win, don't. be good with as many people as you can, weaponize your vote, and continue to take out people you don't feel good with, so you continue to be insulated. Her and Trey really did a very good job of this, of strategically positioning themselves in the game with people who would keep them safe, and gathered alliances together of people that would protect them. So absolute all props to them for playing a dominant social game through strategic positioning. And I think Megs accurately clocked that Megan did it, but Megan did it better than Trey because Megan doesn't have enemies and Trey does.
Yep.
So good read. Very, very good read. But yeah, a lot of talks this round about, how are we going to push forward now that Dancing Queens are the only people left in the game. But seemingly most talks have turned towards either Megan out or take the shot at Megs or Liv, depending on who's still there. But we get to the HOH, which is our Wizard War HOH. In the first bout, Trey defeats Megan. Trey had a pretty commanding lead early. Megan got back into it, but then Megan said that she threw it to Trey at the end just because she thought that Trey would have a better chance of beating Megs in the final bout, which is quite comical considering Trey then throws the final bout because he doesn't want to be HOH. So kind of unfortunate that Megan throws to Trey thinking Trey has a better shot of winning when Trey had no intention of winning. Whoops. So it was very odd that for someone like Trey, who didn't want to win HOH, but chose not to throw until the final bout, was strange to me, especially considering his opponent is Megs, the one person he has no endgame relationship with. Was kind of strange to me. Like, you have a final two with Liv, you have a final two with Michael, and you have a final two with Megan. You don't want to be HOH. So you take Megan out, and then you're up against Megs, the only person who you have nothing with, and then you decide to throw to her of all people? I don't know. It just seems strange of all people to throw to. Like, I just would have thrown the first match, given Megan the chance to win HOH at 5. I don't know. It just seemed odd to me. Like, for Trey's positioning, Megs going at 5 is the best for him. And
he also wanted to be on the block. So maybe
maybe
that's totally what he was thinking, that he would throw to Megs and she would nominate him.
Yeah, like Trey's whole plan here is he knows he's in a great position insulation wise. He's got a final two with Liv, a final two with Megan, and a final two with Michael. So if he's HOH, he has to evict, or he has to nominate one of them next to Megs. So that's bad because then he has to show his hand as to which final two is definitely not real for him. And if he's a voter, if Megs is the HOH, he has to vote out one of his final twos, again, burning someone. And he already knows he's burned Jabbar and Lamont from Black Coffee. So he knows he's walking a thin line of people he's burned to the jury. So he's really trying not to burn anyone else. So he wants to be on the block. And I totally am fine with that. I get why he wants it. I just was confused as to why he just didn't throw the first match with Megan and let Megan continue on. That just seemed odd to me, considering you knew you were going up against Megs, and Megs is the one person who's lowest on your trust rankings. But whatever, it's Trey's game, and he's still here, so good on him.
Well, Megan said that she was kind of throwing it to him. Like, she was like, I can tell you got it better than I did. And I'm like, not two people throwing this.
Literally, like, Jesus Christ. Like, the lack of communication, truly unfortunate here for Megan, but I mean, that's what crumbles. But Megs defeats Michael in her bout after a massive comeback. She was down and out very early. I think she was down 8-2 at one point and managed to come from behind and win by 2. Like, once Megs got it, and she locked and loaded and took out Michael in a huge comeback for her, which saves her game. Knowing that Liv goes on to win this final 5 veto, Megs would have been absolutely on the block and gone home at 5. So a great comeback for Megs here. And then, as we know, Megs does win the HOH here due to Trey throwing it for all the reasons that we've discussed. But yeah, he's trying his best to he's trying to manage how he is sending these final members to the jury, knowing that the current jury makeup is not necessarily the best for him. So he's trying to at least send out 5th, 4th, and 3rd place in a manner where they will still want to vote for him if he's at the end. And he's pretty confident he doesn't go home here, and he would be correct. Like it would have taken a lot for him to go home here, a lot of things to go wrong, but he accurately clocked that he's fine. He's fine. He's fine on the block against Megs. He's fine on the block against Liv. He's fine on the block against Megan, and there's no way that Michael's on the block next to him. So he's fine. He knows. So Megs is the HOH, and she has a big decision to make. She's been thinking this entire time, I'm going to go to the end with Liv and Trey and Michael, and that's my final 4. But in the prior round at final 6, when Liv had to make her renomination and she was talking to Megs being like, I'm not going to nominate you, but Michael and Trey aren't happy that I'm not considering you. She kind of let slip that when she was talking to Michael and Trey, that was done on a singular call, indicating an alliance chat. So Megs is like, you 3 are together, and I don't necessarily want to go to the final 3 or the final 4 with a trio and me, where now I can't even play an HOH. I have to win veto or I'm going home because y'all have a trio chat together. So that's been getting her mind running a little bit. Like, does she stick to the plan and get rid of Megan? Or does she take the shot at Liv now? She's trying to figure that out. But the only person she trusts right now is Michael. Calls Michael, discussing what we just said, and Michael confirms, yeah, that trio chat exists. It's called Caro's Revenge. We made it when Dancing Queens was formed. Yeah, it exists. And I think that's like the switch for Megs, where she doesn't want to be bamboozled by bringing those 3 to final 4 with her. She's really nervous about Trey and Liv as a pair as well. Trey and Liv are definitely the better competitors than Michael. So if she goes to the final 4 with Michael, she doesn't really have much faith that Michael's going to win a competition and Trey and Liv are going to protect each other. Like, there's no way she has an in there. So she very much is like, I need to break them up. And that's where we kind of get this flip on the idea of what Megs was going to do. And she kind of pivots, which I think is really impressive for her to make that decision. I think ultimately the biggest decision for her is just trying to figure out who goes up with Liv. Do you do Megan? Do you do Trey? And that's really kind of her big decision point coming into day 33, because after she wins, she only calls Michael and she goes to bed. But that's kind of where she's at right now. Thoughts before we get into her, get more into her HOH reign?
I mean, both Megan and Trey wanted her out, so pick your poison at that point.
Yeah, she's not in a great position. Like, and that's the thing, when Megs is being seen as the front runner, not Liv. And right now, I think the jury right now would prefer Liv than Megs, but it's close. I mean, I don't think it's anyone's like for sure win. Between if Liv and Megs are the final 2, it's still up in the air. But
had Trey
the house, Megs is seen as the front runner.
Had Trey volunteered at this point?
Not yet.
No. Okay.
Not yet. Yeah,
I don't know.
I have things to say after we get to her noms.
Okay, let's do it. So the next day comes in. Megs has slept on what she wants to do. She's still thinking about it because she has until the afternoon. So she's got still half a day left. And she wakes up and she's like, Michael has promised me a final 2. The optimal thing to happen is either me, myself, Megs wins the veto at 4, or Michael is the sole voter. Either solution she is happy with, because she feels confident Michael will save Megs over anyone left in the game. And I still think that's true as of right now. Michael has put himself in a very precarious position where he has promised too much to too many people, and he's going to have to burn multiple people between here and now, depending on where he stacks up in the architecture of the voting. But both Trey and Megs are expecting Michael's vote to stay here at Final Four. But in Meg's mind, she doesn't know that Michael has promised other things because Michael has done a very good job about lying about all his Final Twos.
Yeah.
So bad props to that, but also good luck on that jury management, babes, because this jury seems to not be valuing people who have multiple top allies. This jury seems to be very anti that. So if that comes out, good luck, babes. The jury's not going to respect it because for whatever reason, this jury is not happy with that, and that's fine. They're allowed to feel the way they want to feel. I just disagree with them.
That could change though too.
They absolutely could.
Their stories and
yeah,
with more space between them and the game. Like I think Megan felt, well, jumping ahead, burned by the multiple Final Twos of it all, but
that's the game, people. Like that's the game, but like they're allowed to feel the way that they feel, and that's okay. That's where Megs is at right now. She's like, I need to give myself the best position here to either win the veto myself, aka take out Liv, or have an HOH at 4 who would, if they won both competitions, would leave Michael as the sole voter. And that's what Meg's ultimate goal here is out of this Final 5 reign, is to get her into a position that has the highest likelihood of allowing that. She's obviously unaware of how close Megan and Trey are, but I think that is a flaw in the logic here. But again, can't blame someone for not knowing everything. So right now, that's kind of why she's landing on she needs to target Liv. She needs to get rid of Liv, so at least Liv is out. She can win Final Four POV by herself. But Michael is super hyping up how loyal he thinks Trey will be to him. So she feels at least confident that maybe Trey as HOH could keep Michael off the block, but obviously we don't know how Trey would have approached the Megan of it all at Final Four and all that. So a lot of gaps in the logic there because you don't know everything, but I think Megs has the right idea of Michael needs to be the sole voter or she needs to win the power veto, and how is the best way she can ensure that. She wants Liv and Trey to be broken up, and this is where she calls Trey, basically with her initial idea of doing Megan and Liv, which was her initial idea after realizing that Carol's Revenge was a trio. She calls Trey, and this is where Trey volunteers for the block, being like, no, put me up. Don't worry about it. Because Trey does not want to vote. He doesn't want to have to burn a Final 2 that he has. And Megs is very tipped off by this. She goes, oh, gotcha. You're with everybody. You feel confident where you stand. You don't want to have any blood on your hands. Ah, got it. Noted. And you want to be able to say at the end that you could volunteer for the block knowing you knew every situation, you weren't going home. Got it. And Meg so badly wants to make sure that Trey does get blood on his hands. She's like, great, so I'm definitely not nominating you now. I'm definitely putting up Megan and Liv here.
It's so funny.
Good. Thank you for telling me that. Now I'm definitely not giving you what you want. Thank you.
Like in a season where Dancing Queen has been begging each other to be volunteers, when it actually happens, she's like, no.
Truly, so good.
I feel like I don't, like the volunteer for the block or the throwing of the HOH of Trey, but I do think it really speaks to his amazing social game. Like he was right in his reads.
Yeah.
And
he's absolutely right.
So impressive.
And that's why I'm so frustrated with the jury right now, that they're so low. They've been so low on him. And I get feeling manipulated, but like, come on. He was
pretty straightforward throughout the game. Like, even though Black Coffee was burned by him, they knew that they weren't together after Carol left. So like, it's not like he was pretending to still be with them.
And Trey has never been in danger this entire game.
Never. Not once have I ever thought Trey's going to go home. Like the only times I considered it were like during those split house rounds where I'm like, if the wrong veto winner off the block uses the veto and that leaves the HH with like 2 options, then maybe, just maybe, he'll get thrown up and maybe he's in trouble, but like by a complete unfortunate luck. Otherwise, he's been sitting so fucking pretty this entire time, like, never once outside of like the split house twist of it all.
Would I ever thrown votes on him when he was up against Preston, but like, who cares?
2 votes, and they were 2 votes from people who just wanted to keep the chaos going. Like Lamont and Louise were like, yeah, chaos. Why not? Let's just keep the fire going. But otherwise, he's not received a single other vote to evict. He's only been a final nominee those 2 times. Otherwise, he's been sitting so pretty, and I'm so impressed. And it's so unfortunate that the jury is so low on him for how he has gotten everyone to trust him. Like, that's just so impressive. You all thought you were with him. You all thought he had your best interests, and he was playing self-interested. And they're finally realizing it. It's unfortunate they're not, as of right now, respecting that. Which is fine. It's their right to do so. But I'm just so impressed with it. And it's unfortunate that I think it might not get the win at the end of the day. I hope it does. I mean, I hope if he does it at the end that he's able to change people's minds and get the credit he deserves. Obviously, do I think it'll win against Megs or Liv? No. But I think he still has a fighting chance. And I hope that this jury gives him that time to be able to explain it, because it's so impressive that he's been able to do this. Because it's one thing to do it and be deemed the layup, like how Victoria was in BB16. She was kept the entire game because she's the layup. She's easy to beat. Everyone wants to sit at the end with, which is kind of how Michael has fallen into this game. Is like, he's the layup. He's easy to beat. You know where Michael stands. He's not a schemer. He's someone I don't have to worry about going behind my back and doing things. Obviously, he's kind of been a little bit of a schemer lately. They don't know that.
Which I'm so proud of him for doing.
You have to be a schemer.
It's unfortunate because that's my favorite part about his game, but this jury would hate it. It's unfortunate. I'm like, this is my favorite part about Michael's game, and the jury would not respect it. So it sucks. But it's so impressive that Trey has been able to do what he has done, but still like have such high win equity from like a production standpoint, from our angle being like, this is really impressive. So I'll be intrigued to see what he can say, because like this move to throw the HOH and volunteer for the block is so badass. To be like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
But it's even more badass that Meg sussed that out and didn't let him have it. Like, it was so good. It was so good. Like, the most petty move ever. It's so good.
I love 4D chess. I love when someone makes a great move and then someone goes, well, now I'm gonna one up your move. I love it. It's great. I love this type of gameplay. And so at this point, Meg's is thinking, I'm gonna put up Megan and Liv. She calls Liv, and Liv puts on a fucking performance of a lifetime. And it's like, Megs, we have to go to the final 3 together because no one else is going to give us that opportunity to be at the end. They will all evict us back to back if they can, and one of us deserves to win the game. You or I should be the rightful winner of this season, and the only way we can do that is if we both exist at the final 3. We both duke it out for the final HOH, and the winner rightfully will evict the other and take home the win against Michael. And that is the conversation they're having. And it's really working on Megs to begin with. This is seemingly Megs' last org for a minute. And I think that's really weighing on Megs. She wants there to be a rightful winner. Megs does not want to like this be her last org and someone she doesn't think should win the season wins the season. Megs' biggest fear, well, she's got 2 biggest fears. One is she brings Liv, Michael, and Trey to the final 4 and she gets yeeted because of Kiro's revenge without her at least trying to take a shot at one of them. And her second biggest fear is that Liv and herself go out back to back and someone like Trey wins or Megan wins, who she doesn't think deserves it as much as they do. So Liv is completely appealing to that secondary fear of like, don't let one of them win. Do not let us target each other and let one of them slither by and take the win from one of us. And for a moment, it seemed like Megs was going to change her mind and put up Megan and Trey and keep the deal with Liv, because Liv is promising she'll bring Megs to final 3. Liv was unsure if she'd actually do it. She's 50-50 on it. She's like, I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when it comes. So it wasn't a yes. It wasn't a no. We're unsure as to what she actually would have done. But I think a great attempt from Liv to be save me. Don't do it.
Yeah, it was a great pitch. And Liv has built up all of these like trust points really with Megs, that anytime Liv, was HOH, Megs was not even a question that she was not going to nominate. I mean, this is the first time Liv has nominated Megs right now the whole game, and Megs nominated her round 2. And so I can see you thinking like, well, Liv has told the truth up until this point. Like, she probably would take me to the final 3 when you're sitting there watching her cry.
And in the same way that Liv at final 6 was going back and forth in her head being like, if I get booted after not taking a shot at Megs, I'm going to feel so stupid. Megs, I'm sure, is thinking the same thing. Like if I get booted after not taking a shot at Liv when she gave me this golden opportunity to do that, like she's going to feel terrible. So I get it. Like, and at 5, like there's only 2 rounds left. So I'm like, it makes total sense to at least say that you tried.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're putting everything out on the table. They're discussing if they do decide to work together, like who should go here. They're agreeing on Megan. They think that she is stronger in these game trivia challenges. So if they go with the plan of they save each other at 4, Megan stands the biggest obstacle to winning the final 4 veto, so she should go. But we leave off on the idea that maybe Megs will save Liv and not even put her up to begin with. And ultimately, Megs, after a couple hours of thinking about it at work, goes, you know what? Liv's good, but I can't do it. She, oh my God, not the dog puking. Jesus Christ. Both. Emphysema. I know, I get it. I know it's scary too. I get it. She realizes that Liv's good, and this is exactly why Louise flipped and saved Liv in round 4. She is realizing so much of how powerful Liv is, and she's like, I can't believe anything she says. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't allow myself to be fooled by what she said. And she's going to stick to her initial gut and do Megan and Liv. Not give Trey what he wants. Put up the 2 people she thinks are her biggest winner equity threats up on the block and ensure one of them leaves. I think it's a great move. Obviously, do I think that I wish she would have left Liv off the block just to keep the option open of the plan? Like, if Liv was being honest, which again, we still will never know if she would have been or not, like leave Liv off the block and then see who wins the veto and approach the plan later. If Liv does win the veto, the other people will all use the veto. Michael will use it if you ask for it. If you win it, you can use it. The nominees of Megan and Trey would absolutely use it on themselves. So, like, approach.
That's what I was thinking too.
Cross that bridge later. And keep that deal possibly open with Liv. Because if she wins the veto and you nominate her, the deal's definitely off. So I wish she wouldn't have nominated Liv early, but I can't deny that Meg stuck with her gut and said, nope. I need Liv to know that I'm after her, and I just have to be upfront with Liv and go, no, Liv, I can't accept your deal. I'm putting you up. So, like, I appreciate the honesty from Megs, but I wish she would have kept the deal possibly open. But who knows?
And I think, too, that nominating Liv mentioned this yesterday on calls, like, nominating Megan next to Liv doesn't make sense if Liv is your target, because Megan for sure would have voted Liv out. Yeah. And so when Liv is going around, like, I don't understand, why would she put me on the block with Megan? Because if I'm the target, that means that Michael and Trey one of them has promised, or 2 of them, to vote me out. Whereas, like, I think it was very clear to both Liv and Megs that Megan wanted both of them out. So, like, Megan for sure would have voted Liv out. Why not put her up? But so this tips Liv off that, like, okay, Megs must be closer with Michael than I thought.
Again, I love 4D chess. I love people, like, because it would have been so easy for Liv to be like, yeah, Megs wants me out and leave it at that and go, time to focus on the veto. But then she said, wait a minute. Trey and Michael are the voters. They shouldn't be voting me out here over Megan. They told me that they wouldn't, but Megs wouldn't make this move without the knowledge of having at least a vote to do it. So who's promising Megs that they would vote me out here? And then she puts it together. It's sure as hell ain't Trey. It's Michael. Like, it would have been so easy for Liv to be like, it's final 5. Who cares? Let's just move on. But instead she thought about it and thought through it and goes, wait a minute. I gleaned information from this. I'm like, yes, they are playing so well right now. Everyone is really thinking 4 steps deep into every move, even here at the end game, and realizing so much about where everyone stands, even just from a simple nomination. I think it's so impressive. But yeah, huge tip off to Liv that Michael is actually tight with Megs, which no one saw coming.
Had Michael actually made that commitment to Megs that he would vote out Liv?
He did. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't remember that.
When they discussed after her win, and she was like, I kind of want Liv to go, and he's like, I'll make it happen. So yeah,
Michael has been promising everything to anyone on call.
Yeah,
It's
TBD
great.
on what he actually would do. He did promise a lot of people a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't know if he would actually do that, but people have been, by people I mean Megan and Trey, have been in Michael's ear for a couple rounds now. Like, we can't let Liv and Megs get to the end. Like, we can't let, they'll beat us all. And so maybe Michael has let that sink in and is like, okay, well, if I could get rid of one of them.
But also Liv nominated Michael already. So Michael has been, or Liv has been slowly slipping down Michael's rankings after idolizing her all game. He's now beginning to see, I guess, the veneer wiped away. And he's like, oh, wait, like Liv is a game player just like everybody else. Like, she's not this like perfect angel that will always like protect me and love me, you know, like he's being like, oh, okay, wait a minute.
The round with Jabbar is Michael was like, well, you already put me on the block. I volunteered. Trey has already been on the block. Yeah. Why not Megs? Megs has never been the one in Dancing Queen to go on the block, and he didn't get his answer that he wanted from Liv, because the answer was that Trey and Megan would have voted her out. But
and I wish still to that moment Liv would have been honest with them, being like, Trey is going to evict Megs. I cannot put, like, Trey is not down for the 4 plan of getting to the end with Megan and Jabbar out. He's not down. I wish just would have been honest about that and just put up Trey also. Like, girl, put up Trey. Like, babes, like had that conversation, and then Michael to show his clear naiveness or naivete around that decision. And he'd be like, wait a minute, what? Trey's evicting Megs here? Like, because Michael is not, I mean, he's a great liar, but like, I think also that stems from the fact that no one thinks he would lie to them. So I think while he's getting away with all these lies, I think it's rooted in the fact that no one thinks he would even lie to them. So yeah, when Michael's being honest with you, it's very easy to know when he's being, like, he would have been genuinely shocked had you just told him Trey's not going to keep Megs here. And that's why I can't put up Megs here. And I think
they sat in Dancing Queens like, us 5 to the end, you know, it's us strong. And really, like, that's not true, if depending on who was on the block. But like, Michael doesn't know that.
Yeah, I wish Liv just would have put Trey over, just would have put Trey on the block. Because also, Liv was going to bring Michael to the end anyway. You're cutting Trey at final 3. If Liv gets her ideal final 3 of Michael and Trey, you're cutting Trey. So prioritize Michael here, because you would. So it's a bit frustrating and a big misstep from Liv to allow Michael to see the writing on the wall and prioritize other people. And in this case, it's Megs and Trey.
And it puts them even closer to Megs.
Which could end, depending on how today works out, Michael could cast a vote not in the way Liv wants him to. So Liv could be stuck with Megs despite her so desperately not wanting to. Like, Liv could win both competitions here at 4 and still not get her way, because she trusts that Michael will do what she wants. And when he doesn't, and he still could, TBD, he's having a really hard time deciding between Trey and Megs if he was the last voter or the sole voter here. So who knows, but could be very interesting. But Megs decides it's going to be Megan and Liv. She texts Liv, hey, you're going up. Doesn't give her a call. Which, I mean, again, Megs is in her I don't give a fuck era.
Yep.
She calls Megan, where Megan is so unrightfully unhappy with Megs. So Megs goes, hey, Megan, I'm putting you up next to Liv. And Megan just goes, why? Like, that's her, like, not, oh, okay, why? Megan's not happy with Megs, which is so funny coming from Megan, who has been trying to get rid of Megs for rounds now. It's so funny. I'm like, babes, you don't... Babes, like, it's gotten back to Megs that you've thrown out her name on many occasions. And Megan's like, well, I only said your name because of X, Y, and Z. Well, you said her name, and that's all Megs cares about. Like, it doesn't matter why you said it, you said it. And if you didn't mean it, you would have told Megs, hey, I said your name because I had to in this situation. I don't mean it. But you never tried to clear the air before it got back to Megs, so Megs has to believe it's true. So Megan's unrightfully unhappy. It's just so funny to me. I'm like, girl, you don't get to be upset at this. Like, you rightfully deserve this.
I think, though, I feel like whenever Megan has been nominated before, though, her default is to just, like, really push back hard.
Yeah.
Like, when Michael was HOH round 1, like, she was just, as soon as he called her and told her, she was just like, or you could do not that.
As she should.
Yeah, and as she should. So I think it's just her default to go into that mode of just, like, don't put me up. But, you know.
But she came back to her prod chat and she was pissed because
Yeah.
ultimately I get it, because while Dancing Queens was Meg's idea at the final 11, hey, this five-some should come together, and it was Meg's idea to have this five-some where she could float between all these other duos in the game that she was still close to. Jabbar and Lamont, Louise and Nikki, Sarah and Erica, Michael and Megan, Liv and Trey. Like, she wanted to be able to bounce between all these duos. It was Meg's idea, but Megan made it happen because Megs did not have the connection to Trey. She didn't have the connection to Michael, and she relied on Megan being able to convince them, this is good for us. So I get why Megan's upset, being like, not you prioritizing Trey and Michael, two people that you wouldn't even be close to without me convincing them to, but like, fuck me, I guess. So she's really angry because she's upset that Trey and Michael were not people Megs trusted at the jury phase, and Megan made that happen, and now she's getting shafted for doing it. So she's right. I mean, I get why she's upset, but also you said Megs' name, babe. So
like, also when it gets to final five like this, it's just a chessboard at that point. Like, really, all of the personal and like all of the like the more human factors, I think, in the game really melt away, and it becomes more of just like a very transactional, like move based game. And yeah, if Megan had just like been able to slow down and take a breath and be like, why is Megs actually doing this? Maybe she would have seen, but I totally get it. Like when you're at final five and you're so close, like I would be pissed. Like I get it.
I get it. And
I wish though too, like this final five is really interesting because they're still hiding behind things, each of them.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of being like, look, Megan, I just think you're a great competitor and I don't think I could beat you in a final two, and that's why I'm nominating you. It's nothing personal. Like that, like what can Megan say to that? Like
exactly. And
there's
Megan
nothing...
knows it.
Yeah.
Megan's
so
under project being like, you're taking the easy road. You don't want to face me in the end, do you? Like Megan knows it. And again, like it's final five. Just be blunt and honest with people. Like why you want to target them. Just be honest. Like it's not hard. Like you compete in every challenge you're eligible for. At this point, it is put up or shut up. You got to go for that W and secure your safety and do what you need to do. So it's just like, just tell her, because Megan did not take it well, but Megs doesn't care. Megs literally told her in some shape or form, said, Megan, I'm going up on the blocks next round, so I don't really care how any of you feel about me. You're all putting me up next round, so sorry that you're upset. I just don't really care. And it's such a badass thing to say, and be like, Megan, I understand you're upset, but I just don't care. Like, I hate to break it to you. I don't care that you're upset because you're nominating me next round. So get over it. And I just think it was just so fucking badass to be like, okay, be mad. It just like really tickled me. Or I'm like, all right.
I wish Megan had gotten more upset when Liv nominated her against Jabbar. That nomination, it didn't seem to have the same like hurt or fire about it, and I'm like, that should have been your first clue. Of the five dancing queens, you're the one on the block against Jabbar, and so then the next round, I guess, it's a way more obvious.
Yeah, she kind of figures it out, but she definitely, and I guess she holds Megs to a higher standard than she does Liv, because they actually are friends. Like her and Liv didn't know each other coming in, but her and Megs are friends outside of this. So I think maybe she hoped that if Liv was the target, that hopefully it wouldn't mean that Megan had to go up, that it could have been Trey instead. But it is what it is. But none of these hoes fucking studied for this veto, let me tell you that. Which maybe is on me for saying you needed 6 red solo cups, and good on me, I guess, for maybe convincing them it was a cups challenge. But it seemed as though no one was prepared. Almost everyone came on being like, I didn't study days. I'm like, why not? They're like, I've been studying.
That's like the one
days.
thing.
Like, those are so important. And their answer, even if you had been studying, you would roughly know when I'm asking you, when was Sarah first nominated? You would roughly go through the season and go, oh, okay, she was nominated roughly around this point in time. And your guess would be roughly close to the answer. No. So I don't think you've been studying because your answers are dead wrong. When stuff is happening on day 29 and you're guessing day 14, you clearly have not been studying, period. It might not be days, but you're not setting anything because you clearly aren't even indicating when this event roughly happened in the season. Recent, mid, beginning of the game, any of that. But no one was prepared. But Liv was the most prepared, so she easily wipes the floor with everyone in the veto. She saves herself. Trey goes up. So we got Trey and Megan as final noms, and this vote comes down to Michael. Michael, before Liv had competed and won, Michael was on a call with Megan for about 45 minutes where Megan left that call feeling like Michael was going to save her no matter what, no matter who was on the block at this point. Like she felt that confident in the call. I obviously was not on it. I was doing other things. But I think Michael was probably promising things because he was just hoping that Liv wouldn't win the veto and they could just live in a happy family with Liv gone. That doesn't happen. And hold
on, can we pause for a second? Speaking of Liv winning the veto, spoiler alert for my award vote, but that's moment of the season for me.
So good.
That moment was just so cool to watch. Just that reaction happened live. Just her knowing that she needed this so badly.
Yeah.
Those are the best moments. Up there with the Anthony Ios, up there with I can't even think of up there with Caro winning at the end game in 16.
Mm-hmm.
Those moments are just top tier. So
it's just fun when you have people. This competition means so much to them. And you feel the stress the entire call because you know that it's do or die, and then you tell them that they want it. So the last one to go, it's great when they're the last one to go. So
and props to Carl for the delivery, Oscar performance.
You had won 15 minutes ago.
You were so
here for the fucking formality of it all.
You were so pleased with yourself when you delivered the news.
What can I say? And badass of her to be like, "Do you have any news for me?"
Oh, that was awesome. It's a made for TV clip right there.
Stacked your 6 cups and said, "So you have news for me or what?" I'm like, "Okay, damn." Jumping straight to the question. You're not even going to give me a chance to transition into it. All right. So badass moment. It's such a great moment, and I'm so happy for her to get it. And I would have been so happy for Megan or any of them to have that moment for themselves. And Megan kind of did have that.
Megan did, a lot in 6.
Because had Jabbar won it, she'd be doomed. So a good moment for her to finally win a competition, so she at least can go out with that. So I just love when people have those moments. But let's get to the Michael of it all. He's put himself in a rough position because now he has both Megan and Trey expecting his vote. Liv has made it very clear. She's saving Trey. She told Megan on call, hey, I'm saving Trey here. I still want to work with you if you do stay because Megs needs to go. And I think they both agreed that Megs does need to go at 4. But Liv can't give her vote there. And that's where Liv starts to expose that Michael is actually working with Megs. Michael's position is starting to get unraveled a little bit here. And as they're discussing all the subsects of Dancing Queens and kind of the timeline of Tasty and Carol's Revenge and all the events that Michael has been doing that kind of lead to the fact that he's actually with Megs. So all that fun stuff. But it boils down to Michael. Megs actually would like Trey to go. She was not very happy with Trey basically being like, put me up. I won't go anywhere. Do it. And she's like, I'm going to try and make you go home. I'm going to make you eat those words. And she knows if she has Michael's vote to evict Trey, Megs gets the tiebreaker and she can send home Trey because her end goal here was to get rid of one of Liv or Trey. Obviously, in hindsight, she probably maybe wishes she had approached her nomination set a little differently and maybe had put up Michael. Had she initially done Megs and Trey, Liv and Trey, if she wanted them to go and gotten Megan's guarantee she would evict Trey, she could have maybe gotten Trey out of this game. And got rid of at least one of them. But I get why she did her initial noms and all those things, so I'm not going to clown her for it. But I think here and now, realizing she needs Michael's vote, I think in hindsight, she could have done things a little bit differently to still get the outcome she wanted. But Michael feels the best. Michael feels the best about Trey because Megs, again, is Michael, our goal needs to be either I win the veto or you're the sole voter. Who will not put you up? Is it Trey or is it Megan? And Meg's sitting there being like, Megan will not put you up. Megan is absolutely putting up Liv and myself. That is what she is doing. We should save Megan here. Trey has a connection to Liv, and he might leave her on the block and put us two up, and that's the worst case scenario because we need to stick together and have you be the sole voter. But Michael feels great about Trey. He thinks that Trey wouldn't put him on the block at 4, and I kind of agree with Michael. But Megs is trying her hardest to try and show him that Megan is best for her, but trying to make it seem like Megan is best for them. But the issue is Megan just hasn't invested as much into Michael as Trey has. And that, again, is all testament to Trey that he is able to put in so much investment in all of these people, and they all feel so fucking good with him because they're like, oh, he wouldn't be investing this much with me if I'm not his person. But he's been doing it with everyone. With fucking everybody. And it's just so impressive. And unfortunately,
and that's why, like, those little conversations throughout the season really matter, because that was Michael's criteria for his decision. Is Trey has invested in me since the beginning and has told me, like, don't campaign, like, you have my vote, like all these things, where Megan was trying to make the same argument to Michael, being like, I've always had your back since round 1, but she really hasn't. I mean, maybe she would never have gone after him, but she wasn't as active in, like, prioritizing Michael. And for Michael, who views the game in a very, like, relationship oriented way, like, it makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And this is the first time that Michael has made a decision alone. Like, he didn't vote in any of the crucial rounds in the beginning. He was on the block a lot. He was on the block a ton, or used his golden key and didn't vote, or he was HOH and didn't vote. It's like he didn't vote in almost any of the crucial rounds. And anything that he has had a vote for has been dominated by the Dancing Queen's hive mentality of, here's what we're doing, here's the biggest threat to us, Louise needs to go here, Nikki needs to go here, Lamont needs to go here. Like, all that's been dominated, and he's had no real say in that. This is the first time he's able to make a decision for himself and what he wants to do, and he makes the right one. He's like, nope, Trey has my best interests at heart. I have a final 2 with him, and I think he will honor it back. And I don't think I have the same trust in Megan. And he tells his other final 2 in Megs, I hear you out, but I'm going to choose Trey here. So
you have to give Megs a bit of respect for, like, the patience she showed, because I don't know a lot of people that would have sat on that call and still been like, you know, I trust you to do whatever you think is best. Like, at that stage in the game, how many people have and would be like, no, this is what needs to happen. You need to do this.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like, I don't know what's going to happen later tonight, but I don't think that Trey staying was bad for Megs.
It could work out. Well, that's the thing, is it comes down to who is Michael's true number 1. And if it is Megs, if it's been Megs all along, then it wouldn't have mattered between Trey and Megan who stayed. Obviously, I still think Megan staying would have been better for Megs, but, like, if she has invested as much as
I agree and disagree, just because I think that with Megan staying, I think it puts more actors in the mix, and there's no world in which Megan keeps Megs over Michael.
No,
like that.
Michael isn't questioning his decision.
I think, you know, without jumping ahead, like, I think that there is merit, like, and I don't think that Trey does it to Michael, but I think that there is merit to a Michael or Trey taking the other out here, because if you're starting to realize that you're not winning these comps, like, I've talked about this a lot in the prod chat, but, like, Trey and Michael are not realistically making final 2 together. They just aren't. They are competing, in my opinion, for the same spot to be taken to final 2. And so if you are trying to fill that same role, taking out your competition for that role is a really good thing to do.
But Megan's role was that too.
I think she was starting to show, though, that at least with game-related competitions, like with trivia, that she could do that. And I think that was even something that, like, Liv was noticing on the call that she had with Trey and with Michael both, was that, you know, Megan is starting to show that she can compete here, and I don't know that that's great for us. So I'd be so curious. And again, this is kind of a results oriented thing, but I don't think it was the worst thing for Megan to leave.
It's not terrible, but I still like if Liv still wins the HOH, assuming Megan's in, not Trey, assuming Liv still wins, which I think is very likely because Liv kind of ate up last night.
Yeah.
And let's assume Liv also wins the veto today, and the nominations are still Megan and Megs. Michael's not questioning anything; he's sending out Megan.
There's I would agree with that. I think,
but Megan's is a strong competitor, so Megan could have won the veto today if she was still here and taken out Megs. So yeah, like pros and cons on both sides. I don't think it's a lose situation.
Everything at this point is going to be results oriented, though, because there are so many things that can happen. Megs and Liv, you can't even say like they did this to themselves. They just are the superior players here, and they are the people that you should be taking out at these stages, and they know that. And so I know that this isn't necessarily what Megs wanted, I don't think it's like the end of the world that she didn't get her way.
Yeah. And Meg said it herself, like everybody's putting her on the block anyway, so it's like how much does it really make a difference? I don't know. Like, and that's why she posed the question to Michael of like, who do you feel more comfortable with that would make you the voter? And like that probably is Trey for Michael. So it makes sense that like, yeah, she was going to try to push for what she wanted, but she has like both of those avenues, I guess, to potentially save herself at 4.
Field reporting, Liv has gone to her prod chat and said exactly what you just said, Lee, that she worries that Trey will see the benefit of Michael leaving here because he wants to guarantee himself final 2. So Liv absolutely does not want Trey to be the sole voter today. Mm-hmm. She's going to guarantee it's Michael if she wins the veto.
So, which gives Megs at least the best chance she's going to have if she doesn't win veto.
If Liv wins it, she just confirms.
Because I actually think it's a bad read. I don't think Trey would make that decision.
No, Trey would not, because Liv thinks in 8 dimensions, and sometimes she's 7 dimensions too deep. Sometimes it's something just
okay, but
cut and dry.
just like to entertain this thought now that it's now being said by someone else. Is it not a better move for Trey to take out Michael?
I just don't think the jury is not going to reward Trey up against Megs or Liv. Based on what they've said, if it is Megs or Liv there, they are rewarding one of them. It is game over. So yeah, like, from our perspective, no, Trey doesn't win against either of them. But from his perspective, if he thinks he has a strong game, maybe it does make sense for him. But obviously, from what we know, Trey and Michael need to bring each other to the end if they want to chance.
I guess more so my thing on it is the odds are very stacked in a Liv or Meg's favor if they're in the final 3 to win the final HOH, period. And if they are given the choice of Trey or Michael, Trey does not have a chance in hell.
Yeah, agreed.
And so I think that's where like Liv has a great point, and I don't think it's bad for Trey's game. Because Trey unfortunately just needs to get to the final 2 to even be able to make any of those pitches, or for the jury. Like juries can come around on people. And I don't know that Trey I don't know that Trey will be giving himself the best chance to even have that opportunity to sway a jury if he lets Michael stay in the game.
I guess let's talk. What would you rather prefer? Let's play the would you rather game. Would you rather, if you're Trey, do you keep Megs and Liv in and guarantee yourself 100% chance you at least get a pitch to win this game against 2 people who you might not think you can win against? So do you take the 100% chance I'm pitching for the crown up against Megs or Liv, and I'll just prepare for it, and we'll cross that bridge when we cross it on finale night? Or do you take the chance in his mind of the riskier option, I bring Michael to the final 3, knowing that if if Liv wins or Liv in this case, if Liv wins the final HOH, I'm out. I have no pitch to the end. But if me or Michael can win the final HOH and bring each other, in his mind, he thinks he 100% wins the game. So which way do you take it? Do you take the 100% chance of for sure being in the final two, or do you take the gamble of a 100% chance win in your mind against Michael? Obviously, we know that 100% chance is highly inflated as of right now, that this jury is up in the air between those two. In terms of who they would vote for, because they're very much high on Megs and Liv. I don't know. I mean, you make a valid point.
I think I would rather sit at the end, no matter what.
Yeah, I think that's my thing, because juries can be swayed. And I think the best example of that is 16, because you have Caro and Liv both, who are the game's front runners to win. Caro gets sniped out by an unlikely comp win by Elise at the final HOH, and then Liv flops at the end and Elise wins. Elise did everything in the game, and Elise did everything to win, but like defied odds.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point. To my knowledge, Trey has not been thinking to that level. To my knowledge, he's going to keep Michael if he is the sole voter tonight. TBD if that changes, but very interesting that you think about it that way. And maybe Michael will think about it that way. Does Michael cut Trey for the sole fact of, I guarantee myself a pitch? I get to at least the end and ask for a vote. 5 votes specifically.
I think my thing on it is, it's like, if you're Trey, maybe he doesn't have like that vantage point of thinking the jury's so low on him, which maybe. But I think, like, okay, you have a low chance of winning in the end if you're Trey. But now if you're with Michael in the final three, you also have a lower chance of even getting to the final two. And that, I think, is where my concern is from. It's like, do you at least want the chance to lose at the end? And I think that's a yes.
No, that's a valid point. I guess I'm of the opposite opinion. I play for the win. If I think I have no chance against someone, I'm not even going to entertain that option.
I don't think that there's a trump card for Trey to win. Like, I mean, I think he can, but I don't think that there's like an obvious move he takes to win. I think he has, like, he has to get to those final two seats, and that's already going to be an obstacle.
No, for sure. I guess if I'm Trey, I'm evicting Megs and taking the gamble that I can set up against Michael and win against Michael. But again, that's the beauty of this Final Four scenario, is you have both options and both make realistic sense to do. One's a guarantee to be at the end and ask for your votes and an uphill battle, but at least it's a battle you can fight, versus you take a gamble, you're not even there. So it's a fun scenario to live out, and I don't know how it's going to end, because Liv does win the HOH. Megs and Trey are up on the block, so we have a 50% chance of Michael remaining the sole voter if Liv or Michael wins the POV. I don't know what he does. He doesn't know what he's going to do. Megs wins the POV. She's the sole voter. She's evicting Trey. If Trey wins the final POV, he's the sole voter, and as of right now, to my knowledge, he is evicting Megs. But who knows? I mean, that's the fun of it. I mean, Liv is thinking Trey's going to evict Michael to guarantee a spot at the end, but maybe Trey isn't thinking that. I don't know. A lot of fun scenarios.
Do you think that Liv should go to the end with Michael? Because their stories are so intertwined, it feels like that. I mean, I think, everyone thinks they can beat Michael, but I think Trey's storyline and the way he's played is so separate from Liv's, really, that it would be I don't know, more interesting.
I think that works for Liv, though, because if you have a differential between yourself and Trey, they might value Trey's game better, because maybe there are people who like the social, under the radar, backstabby from behind the curtains game versus the out in front game. They currently say that they don't respect that. They would rather award the out in front game. But if you bring Michael, who has played basically with you since the very beginning outside of these last couple of rounds,
she just did it better.
You have no option but to reward who did it better, and it's Liv.
Yeah, it's hard, because up until the Megan vote, it will be very hard for Michael to explain moves that were his. And he just can't. But I think I think why you would be afraid to sit next to Trey, because it's like, if you're a player in the game right now, I think that they have a high regard for Trey's game. You don't think lowly of Trey's game until he has let you down and you're out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't have that same view we do, that Trey does not have as much favor with the jury. So I would be more afraid to sit next to Trey if I'm actively in the game.
He's played, I mean, especially if you're Liv. I mean, Liv literally lost to a highly social player who played behind the scenes and floated between a lot of top. Like, Trey is her Elise of this.
Yeah.
And like, if I'm Liv, I'm staying the fuck away from that.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you have to think about the fact that now, like, Megs has kind of enlightened Liv on why she didn't nominate Trey even after he volunteered. Like, what does it say about someone who has known the amazing position they have been in this game? Like, if I'm them, you have to think, like, he's ready to talk about this. He's ready to explain his game, and he is ready to win a jury over. It's going to be harder for him to, but if you've not been on the receiving end and he's still been loyal to you, you think, like, he has a great game, and he has played a great game, but it's just, you don't have the luxury, or I guess the misfortune, of knowing what the jury thinks of Trey's game because you're not out.
Yeah, that's what's so hard. That's what's so hard about a game that involves a jury who has real emotions and real feelings about how you may or may not have treated them inside the game, and once they're eliminated, that, like, Megan completely flipped on a dime. Like, Megan was so high on Trey's game, and when she got evicted and figured out all the things that Trey was doing behind her back, that statement at her when she was going home, when she said to the person who I'm talking to, and I figured out what you've been doing this entire time, just know that I'm watching you, and who I'm voting for has completely changed. That was at Trey. Like, I was so high on you, but now what you've done to me, you're at the bottom now. And I'm not sure if he caught on to it. I'm hoping he did. He hasn't said that was about him, but, like, it was very clearly directed at you, Trey. She's not very fond of you right now because she realized that you played her. So that's the thing, is shit like that can flip on. Megan would absolutely have been a vote for Trey almost in every situation here, but because of what she found out and how she found out about it, she's completely changed her mind as of right now. Could still go back to the other way because she does have a love for Trey. So again, it might change, but a lot of fun scenarios tonight. So 8:30 to 10:30, we're running all 4 vetoes back to back to back to back. So everyone wanted to go as late as they could. So we'll go live at 10:30 to do live POV results. And then what we did in 18 and 19 is we let them go back into Discord and take as long as they need. It usually only takes like 10, 15 minutes for them to pitch their heart out. And we come back and we'll have our final 3. So that's, be there at 10:30. We'll stream the last one, which is Trey at 10, the last veto. So that's what happens tonight. We've sent people home, so it's time for winner picks. And I guess, what are you expecting from this end game? Like, what is your prediction for how this end game is going to play out? What's happening? Because this is the final prediction tea, really, until maybe Sunday's tea before the finale.
I think my prediction is very straightforward, that Liv's going to win this next veto. She's going to make Michael the voter. Michael's going to vote out Trey. It's going to be Megs, Liv, Michael in the final 3. I think Liv wins the last HOH. Megs is 3rd, Michael 2nd. Liv wins the game.
That's exactly what I would have said.
That's mine as well, right now.
Oh, God.
But part 3 is part 3.
What's going to be hard is, I do think that Michael can win one of the parts of the final HOH.
Not part 2, babes. He can win part 1, though.
No, but the thing is part 1. Yes, Michael can win part 1. Yeah. I know I wasn't saying he could win part 2.
No, I get what you're saying, but
I think whoever wins part 2 is gonna win the game, in my opinion, for the most part, because I think that Michael is well equipped. But I mean, they have done well in endurance and cuppy things and all of that too. But like, Michael is gonna bring it to that challenge.
Michael's on a whole other level. So these like cups, endurance, like mind over matter games, like for whatever reason, like he's locked and loaded for that shit.
Can we talk about for a minute though how well Sarah would do in the final 3?
I know.
Yeah,
and that's why she's gone.
Yeah, and they're right for eating her. Like
she'd just be good at everything.
Yeah.
They were right for her. Yeah, like she easily could be here right now. Is what I said on T. I was like, because it was Megs and Sarah were the initial noms, I believe. Yeah, under Jabbar. Like, and Megs and Sarah were the top 2 in that veto. And I was like, whoever stays here has such longevity because they remain the 5th member of Dancing Queens, or Sarah fills that role for Megs. Like, and Sarah could be in the Megs position being here at the end game. Like, and that's what sucks about moves like that. Jabbar made a great move, but it's like, God damn it, Sarah and Megs could both be here. And it's unfortunate that you're going to clip one of them, dick.
I think one of the things that I'm most excited about is I do predict that Liv is going to win the season. Despite, you know, me, I think also wanting Megs, but I also want Liv to win. I think it's so interesting though that we, you know, when we were getting interest out for this, I think both Megs and Liv had a lot of reservations about coming back, and we almost had neither. And I think like how awesome this game is because they decided to put themselves out there again. You know, despite maybe what they should have done, because you know, the therapy comes after a game.
Yeah, it's been stressful for both of them.
But for one of them, it's really going to pay off because I just don't see a world where one of them doesn't win.
I'm not going to be in that world just yet, just because part 3 is so volatile. I want to believe Michael will save Megs here tonight. That's what I believe in my heart is going to happen. But again, I don't know. I mean, Michael did say last night that he thinks he should honor his deal with Megs, but he was telling us, he's like, I don't know if I can bring myself to evict Trey like by my own hand. So like he's struggling with it. I do think he leans towards saving Megs though. I really do.
And I think it's the smart thing. I mean, well, actually, I don't think it matters for Michael because Michael's in the final 2 no matter.
Michael needs Trey at the end.
If you're Trey, it's the smart thing to get rid of Michael. But if you're Michael, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You're in the final 2.
Yeah,
Michael can do whatever the fuck he wanted since.
Yeah, like I've been working on the finale graphic, and Liv and Michael are both firmly planted on it right now.
Yeah, we've been saying Michael's been locked in for a final 2 spot for rounds now because every person in the game was like, you know who I want to sit at the end with? Michael. So
the only way he is not is if Trey wins the veto and someone leaks from the VL to Trey that he should maybe. Or if Liv is like, I don't know, Trey. I don't know if you would evict Michael because it's what you should do. And then he wins the veto by some chance. And then he's like, well, Liv said I should.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I just don't see that happening. And I see Michael being a final 2 and welcoming Michael to the runner-up club. And I'm personally like, I've gone back and forth on whether or not I want to see Michael in the final 2 because you know, I think it will be tough. Like they're not going to go easy on him just because he's never been there. But I also don't think that they're going to eviscerate him.
I don't think so either.
They're going to treat him kind. And I think, you know, we've gone back and forth on this on a couple of teas. But like if Michael was to ever play in Org again, and I'm kind of optimistic that he will, having the experience is way more valuable sitting at the end than not.
Yeah.
Yep.
He'll be well equipped to go and absolutely crush his next org. And like, while I was not high on him, nor am I high on the game he's played here, he is well equipped to make a deep, like, he's giving me Tay vibes in the sense of like, Tay played Endure with me, didn't have the best run just because of the shitty trap she was put on, had a good run in BBH 13 where she was still learning the ropes, then came back to 15 and then Endure and like really showed what she's capable of. Like having the full experience can really like harness someone who's really good for these games. And like, this is not his time, but like next time could be his time. He has an impeccable social game. A social game is hard to teach. You don't have charisma. You can learn how to be better at certain challenges. You can learn to be better prepared for game trivia and all that shit. And you can learn strategy. You can't teach a social game.
Although after seeing him and Anthony both, I think they just teach it in Louisiana public schools.
Maybe they do. Like, fucking hell.
So true.
Yeah, what's in the water in
charismatic people.
Baton Rouge or wherever he's at. I don't know what's in the water there, but everyone's so chipper from the org community there.
I think Michael has just improved just like so much throughout the game. And I think the jury will see that if he's at the end. Like, I honestly don't think I think he'll get votes no matter what. People will vote for him to win. And I don't see them tearing him apart because he was
Yeah.
honest with everyone, really.
I personally think Trey's more likely to be the kind that would not get votes than Michael. Like, Michael's not going to be the person that says something that's going to rub someone the wrong way at the final two. Like, he's going to say something and be like, that wasn't true, Michael, or like, I just don't see it. Or they're going to be like, that's cute. But they're not going to be thinking like, oh, Michael has like offended me or something in the final two. Whereas I think like Trey has an uphill battle if he makes it to the end.
Mhm.
And he's going to have to go big, but also like own the things he's done. And it's not going to sit right with everyone. Like, it's just not. He's not going to win every single juror over. He just has to win over the majority of them. But because of that, you are going to offend some people, and that's okay.
But that's the beauty that's working for Trey and Michael in this instance. Is we've seen it so many seasons in BBH. You have it with Ryan in 14. You have it with Crystal in 13. Lizzie in 12, as well as Amanda on the flip side of it all.
Gray in 8.
Right, like the people who come in with there's low expectations for you. For Trey, it's low because of how people feel about him, and they want to know why you made me feel this way. And for Michael, everyone thinks he has no intentionality. He has a few moves that he can speak to intentionality, but like for the most part, they're correct in saying that he kind of was with others and was led by others. But because the bar is so low, there's only room to go but up. For Megs and Liv, that they are praising the ground that they walk on, there's only room to go down. There's no more going up from here. Everyone knows that Megs and Liv played a stellar game, but like if they have a bad performance, there is only room to fall for both of them. And
I don't think either of them will have a bad
but like that's the con of being the front runner, is that they're looking for you to slip up. They're looking for you to give a reason to not vote for them, versus Michael and Trey have nothing to lose. They can say whatever they can to get people's votes because the floor is so low for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the art of surprise and the art of new information is so crucial at final jury questioning. I've faced it twice myself where I've almost lost both times because I come in and everyone knows my game, but the person I'm with has things to say that they don't know about because they played a more under the radar game. And that art of surprise can switch voters. Crystal did it in 13,
Mm-hmm.
did it in 12. Like you convince voters Lee yourself at 15, people who were like, I will never fucking vote for Lee in a God's name in hell, and they've changed their vote for you. Like the art of dropping information is so crucial, and Michael and Trey have that ability. Megs and Liv, their games are so out in front that everyone knows what Megs and Liv did all season.
I think the only thing that either of them can drop is like the reasoning behind their relationship with one another.
Sure.
I think like telling that story is independent of the Dancing Queens, and I think it's a story worth telling.
Yeah.
And I think that whichever one of them goes to the jury, like their call today was really wonderful to listen to because they just were so like just like praising of each other and just saying like, you know, if I leave, like I'm rooting for you, like I'm rooting for you to lose the veto, but I am rooting for you to win. And I think that that's such a market example of like
good sportsmanship
in this game.
Yeah. Great.
And I think whichever one goes to jury, when it like honestly, it's even better that for Liv, it's better for Megs to leave tonight so that she has time to talk to the jury about Liv. Because I think like if Megs talks to the jury about Liv and is on the round table and all of that, like it's game over for whoever Liv it's next to. They don't have a chance.
Yeah. But that's what I love about. It's what I love about this cast. Like this cast has not like there've been a few moments that bordered on toxic. There was a little few moments where respect kind of left the table for a little bit. But this cast, for the most part, has had such love for each other and has had such mad respect for one another that I look forward to the round table. I look forward to finale night because I think they all want the best for each other. Like no one's going to go eviscerate Michael while they have questions about Michael's game. They want him to rise to the occasion. They want to be proven wrong.
And they all are rooting for him as a person.
Yeah.
So I think that helps.
Yeah, how can you not?
Nice. It's just a fun environment to like watch players supporting other players, even with 7 people who are out. They were crushed to be out.
Yeah.
And still rooting for the 4 in there. Sure, some more than others and some less than others, but like they still want everyone to like show up, show out, and like kill the end game no matter what happens. So it's just a fun environment to be part of.
This might be like a premature statement on my part, but I think that this season has kind of restored my faith on returner games.
Yes.
Because I've been very low on them pretty famously to anyone that asks. Either hosting or playing in them. Like I have always kind of thought, I just don't. I feel like they can sometimes do more damage than good. Yeah. And I think that this season has restored my faith in them quite a bit. So it's a testament to the players and how they've treated each other for the most part. Like, you know, you're always gonna have some moments, and like that's just the game and people feeling how they feel. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think even when people took things too far in this game, they apologized, which is nice. Even if it doesn't last forever, like or that.
I think that there's a few conversations that are probably going to have to happen outside of the game, and that is just part of it. You know, when no one has any incentive to lie to you once the game is over, you wait and have that conversation there.
Absolutely.
This cast also skewed kind of older this time, and I feel like that also helped a little bit. You got a little bit more life experience under your belt. You're a little more level-headed.
Yeah.
So I think that helped.
Yeah, like outside of Madison and Preston, everyone is upper 20s.
Yeah.
At youngest, we have a lot of people in their 30s and older. Actually, do we have anyone in their 40s? I don't think so. I think they're all in their 30s.
No, I think Michael's the oldest.
I think so, but he's in his 30s. So, yeah, like everyone's in their 30s and 20s outside of Preston and Madison, who were pre-jury and don't really have a say in all of this matter. But yeah, everyone was a lot older, and I think that helped and hurt at times. I think when things got a little toxic, it was like, babes, we're too old for this. But like, everyone's able to like take a step back and be like, we're all adults. We'll work. So I'm really excited for the season. I mean, excited for the season to end, but I'm also sad for its end. But we're like at that point where I'm ready to crown a winner.
Yeah,
and I'm so excited for who it's going to be. So we're tentatively planning for finale night at 9 p.m. on Sunday. Some jurors have asked for it to be up a little earlier just so they can actually enjoy the reunion that comes after.
I would love that too.
Yeah, so would I, but it boils down to Joshua. So everyone go tag Josh in the VL and ask for it to be moved earlier. But we'll have a super fun time Sunday night. But yeah, so you should expect for this weekend. Trey's POV is the last one at 10. We'll do that one live. Results live at 10:30. We'll take about 20 minutes for them to go in the Discord, come back for the eviction, and then we'll do part 2 live on Sunday, and then part 3 will kick off the live finale at sometime Sunday night. We'll stick to 9 for now unless Joshua moves it up.
And it sounds like we are doing jury roundtable Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern is what it looks like now. That was kind of the overwhelming majority. So that should be me, Tay, and Kadri hosting up the jury roundtable and any other prod who decided to come hang out with us. But I'm really excited because I think that the jury has been hopping on calls and having really like good engaged discussions, and I've been calling it the roundtable dress rehearsal. So I'm just hoping that they bring all of those really thoughtful things to the roundtable. I know they will, and I'm really excited. I think that, you know, in the past, because, you know, people are back to having lives, we've not always had a full jury roundtable, and I think we will this time. So I'm really excited for that as well.
Yeah. And I mean, barring the last juror, everyone's been super open and accepting of other thoughts. Like they've been constantly posting their rankings inside the jury chat, and like they've been drastically different at points. And people have been like, please explain to me why you have this person so high. Like, I'm not attacking you, but like, why? Because like I have them dead last. But
and it's been really respectful discourse about it too.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm sad that they're in the jury, but I'm really happy with the jury makeup and how they're handling this position because they're taking it very seriously. And I'm excited to see how this plays out. So stick with us tonight. It'll be an interesting evening because I myself don't know what will happen if Michael is the sole voter, which is a 50% likelihood that he will be, which is Team TV. So that will be exciting, obviously. Like if Megs or Trey wins, they deserve it, and less Team TV.
I
But
can't wait for Trey to win the veto and ask to stay nominated.
Could you imagine?
God, shoot me. I don't think Trey or Michael will win just because Michael and Trey have been at work. They haven't really been studying a whole ton, but Megs and Liv have been putting in the time and the effort. It is game trivia tonight. So I think my money's with Megs or Liv tonight. But maybe Trey or Michael will surprise me. Who knows? I mean, that's the beauty. This challenge is not one that you need to study a whole fuck ton for. Like if you have been paying attention and been keeping up with everything that's been happening and you have been banking that in the back of your mind for this moment, you can still pull it out. Intrigued to see how this all plays out, but stick with us. We've got a fun evening and a fun weekend as we lead up to the finale and our 20th winner of the series. How exciting.
Wild.
A new person enters the winner or arena, possibly.
I'm terrified.
TBD. I mean, who knows? Not every winner, I think, will say yes to the invitation whenever we do it. So maybe we have a new entrant to the arena. Maybe we don't. But any last thoughts before we head on off for the penultimate tee?
I would like to give a shout out to my VL draft team. It's completely intact. I have drafted 3 of the final 4 in Megs, Michael, and Trey.
God almighty.
How's your prod draft team?
We're not talking about that right now. This is the first time I've ever done this well in VL draft, so I'm milking it for all it's worth. I don't know if I've drafted the winner, but honestly, it's okay.
That's having a 75% chance to win the season.
Oh, girl, that's how I felt in the BBH20 prod draft when I had Destiny and Amanda, where the jury's like, yeah, one of them, and I didn't win at all. And I was like, oh,
I do feel pretty confident that either Carl or I will be winning the prod draft this time.
Which is funny because this is oh no, it's not. I was gonna say in 15, Blake went early just by default because Erica was obviously gonna draft Blake, but like. And I'm pretty sure in 10, I don't think Pietro went super early in the prod draft. Like he was like kind of middle of the road, as was Liv and Megs. Like they weren't like we weren't like dying.
Gavin like bottom half this time.
Megs was second round Lee, so that was like pick number like 10.
Yeah, that was wild.
And Liv was 9
because I picked Rizzo first. Yeah, I mean, because Gavin was picked early. Yeah.
You had Gavin in the first round. Foster was the first overall. Lauren was, and you picked Lauren, Max, didn't you?
I picked Lauren as my winner pick, but I wasn't in that draft.
Erica must have taken her then. Lauren might have been first overall, like in the first round of pickings, but like I think Erica was near the back end of it, so Lauren wasn't even like a top commodity either. So it's fun when shit like this happens, and
we just didn't think that this cast would let them get this.
No.
That's the only reason why they were drafted that low.
I said lobotomy for Liv, Jabbar, and Megs. Like y'all are crazy if you let players of this caliber get to the end, and all 3 of them were there. I mean, I said the same thing about Nikki, and Nikki was final 8. Like Jesus Christ,
redefining the production award of hospital bill. Like you need a hospital bill for your lobotomy.
Truly that, but. For that, we're going to peace on out. We'll be live in a few hours to do results and welcome our 8th juror to the jury. So be there. It'll be a fun time for us, but not a fun time for them. And we'll have our final 3 by the end of the night. So I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing every single VL member there. All of you, however many of you there are. Anything less than that is a travesty. But for Lee, for Tay, for Max, for myself, for Foster, who's been screaming from the other side of the room.
I have not talked at all until you mentioned the draft.
So Foster's been talking on the stream. So for Foster as well, we're going to end the stream. It's going to kill me. If I'm not live tonight, you know what happened. Call the cops. Bye, everyone.
Bye.